So Nikita and Escape from Tarkov Battlestate Games just did some insane shit, rolling back on changes that they have stood firm in for years at this point. And there's some, there's obviously reasons why they did this, right? If you guys have not heard, they released a $250 edition of Escape from Tarkov that basically said, to hell with EOD users, redefining what a DLC is and claiming that a brand new game mode was a feature. Nikita and the team stood firm in this for a few days and then eventually released an apology basically saying, we're sorry you feel this way. Which was absolutely ridiculous, but now things have drastically changed. Nikita is now on Twitter responding to streamers and content creators and their ideas and suggestions, adding those ideas and suggestions within days, continuing to have a conversation with the community, making posts, responding to randoms, and not just content creators. It's something we haven't seen since Escape from Tarkov blew up when the whole drops thing happened. I think it was in 2020 that happened. We didn't really get a lot of communication after that. It was mainly Nikita showing off his fancy suit and fancy car. Very expensive fancy car. And the communication really stopped. The updates kept coming, regardless of how the community felt about them, but they kept coming. And communication kind of went silent. Now, all of that has changed. And the reason that has changed, just because regardless of how I feel about the game personally, and I've made that clear, Arena Breakout Infinite is currently kicking Escape from Tarkov's ass, right? Not in a very good way, in my opinion, in a very shady way, with basically taking the entire premise of Tarkov, and even some of the animations, sounds, keybinds, painkiller effect, and putting that in their game, but making the game more arcadey, more Call of Duty like, taking away all of the frustrations that Tarkov really has with inertia and found in raid, the movement system just being punishing along with the weight system. They don't have that in Arena Breakout Infinite, and that has pulled in Escape from Tarkov's W key chads, for lack of a better term. They're loving it. Streamers like Landmark, who was averaging like 30,000 viewers playing Arena Breakout Infinite, and it has, I do truly believe it has Nikita scared, which it should. Regardless of how I feel about Arena Breakout Infinite, regardless of whether I like it, the game is doing very well, and it is not like Gray Zone Warfare. It is a direct competitor to Escape from Tarkov. So Nikita and Battlestate just released probably the most insane patch we've had, period, I would say, because it rolls back so many of those stood ground, firm stance decisions that they made when it comes to Tarkov for years at this point. The primary being found in raid. Found in raid no longer exists for most items in the game, making PvP actually worth it again. Before this was a thing, obviously if you play Tarkov, you know that you usually spent more money in the ammo that you shot at people than you did from getting the gear from those people you shot. You didn't make money doing PvP in Tarkov. And that has been a point of contempt with this game for a while, even with someone who's more of a PvE enjoyer like myself. When I did get into PvP and I did kill people, I didn't make any money. I lost money. It's very frustrating. So Found in Raid is gone. You can now sell all of those U-Logs, all of those crazy MVGs, the level 5 armors, the slicks. You can sell those on the flea market now and make your money back. But that also brings back hatchet runners, which I've played the game since those have been a thing. I remember the hatchet runners. I was a hatchet runner. We all were a hatchet runner at one point in time. And man, it's a double-edged sword because it makes PvP enjoyable and rewarding again, but it goes back to the frustrating aspect of some asshole with a hatchet out, no gun, no armor, no nothing of value, and an empty gamma container is going to beat you to the marked room to pick up all of the loot and regardless of whether you kill him or not, that shit's ending up on the flea market, and he made money, and you wasted money by killing him. Ooh, man, it's a double-edged sword. That's huge. Founding Raid has been something that they've stood their ground on for a very long time, and Arena Breakout Infinite, their player count, and the fact that no one's really playing Tarkov right now has pushed Nikita over the edge to actually listen to the community again. But I'm not really that worried about Arena Breakout Infinite killing Tarkov, because I feel like when that game comes out and the reality of a free-to-play game, as that one is, the same way it is on mobile, you're going to be able to buy the in-game currency with real money so you can buy gear in game. A lot of the Tarkov players, in my opinion, from what I've seen of them, are not going to stick around for that. They're going to go back to Tarkov, or they're going to go to Grey Zone Warfare or another game like that. If this is showing us anything, then it's showing us that these streamers, which fair enough, you shouldn't be, but they're not loyal to Escape from Tarkov or Battlestate games. Man, as soon as Nikita fucked up once, and a game that was, you know, what they felt was slightly better than Escape from Tarkov came out, they jumped ship immediately. And it does not help that Nikita stood firm in his stance when it came to the Unheard edition and the game mode, even with his full apology rolling back on the issue and saying that everyone, EOD, will get access and everyone will have a chance to buy it. He didn't sincerely apologize and start opening up and listening to the community and taking advice and ideas for changes and actually implementing them within record time until their viewer count dropped to like something like 1/8 of what Arena Breakout Infinite had. It just seems like it seems very disingenuous on his part. It feels like the only reason he started listening to the community and their ideas, and again adding all of these changes in record fucking time, the only reason he did that is because his game is in some ways dying at the current moment, right? It's a little sus, for lack of a better word. I mean, these are what we were told to be drastic sweeping changes that would take months, if not years, to balance, and they did all of it within a few days, right? They took off Founding Raid, they adjusted the loot balancing on all locations except from Streets of Tarkov, with key cards and so much better loot spawning in marked rooms again. They adjusted the inertia strength based on stamina capacity and overweight limits, dude. They reduced the base inertia by 20%. They increased the overweight limit by 15, fixing, you know, looting, right? Like, you can only carry so much gear, which was super annoying in my opinion. I don't want to be carrying around like 3 full kits in my backpack, but a little bit more than we had. And they increased base stamina capacity by 15%, dude. It's crazy, right? They removed fog from most maps after years of people saying they should. They did all of this shit that they said would take years to balance, months to balance. They did it all in a few days. To me, it just feels disingenuous. As much as I want to be on Nikita and BSG's side, because I've supported this game for 6 years at this point, because I've owned it since 2018, I want to be on their side. I want to be like, yeah, this is really good stuff, but the fact of the matter is, none of this stuff happened until the game's life was threatened in a very major way. I mean, even before, like I said, right before Breakout came out, when the Unheard shit actually happened, they still stood firm in their stance, saying, we will see who the true supporters are, and, you know, we're sorry you're feeling this way. As much as I want to be on their side and say that everybody deserves a second chance, it just feels a little shady that they didn't take this stance and start listening to the community again until their game is literally on life support. And I mean, all you have to do is look at Twitch to see that. I mean, the last time I looked, Escape from Tarkov had like 5 or 6,000 viewers, and Arena Breakout Infinite had something like 55,000. It's crazy. It hurts me to see because of how much I love Tarkov, but at the same time, it makes me think. This patch has made me think about the years of having these horrible changes that they introduced and they stood firm on, and they say constantly, you know, we're working on a better way to do it, we're working on balancing for it to make a more enjoyable experience, but then they do these sweeping changes that fixes a lot of the problems that we had in like 3 days. It's like, can you explain that? Can you give us some insight into that? Why are you all of a sudden talking to your community? Like, it didn't happen until Arena Breakout was pulling like 5 times the amount of viewers that Tarkov has. Like, what is going on there? As much as I don't like Arena Breakout Infinite, I do have to thank the game because I guess it's kicking Nikita's ass into gear. But what worries me is my prediction for Breakout Infinite, that when the microtransactions are added, the Tarkov streamers are going to run. And they're probably going to run back to Tarkov. My worry is that when that happens, or if that happens, then Nikita and Battlestate Games are just going to go back to the way that they were. And that's a frightening idea for me. Do I think this patch is going to save Escape from Tarkov? No, I don't. I don't think this patch can repair any of the damage that was done by Nikita and by Battlestate Games. I just don't think it can repair that. But I also don't think Escape from Tarkov is dead, or the game is over, or nobody's gonna go back to playing it. Obviously, if something happens with Arena Breakout, the microtransactions when it hits full release, whatever it may be, a lot of people are going to go back to Tarkov, right? Landmark, all of them. They're all going to go back to Tarkov. There's no ifs, ands, or buts there. If Arena Breakout really nails the release, doesn't release with my predicted microtransactions that's going to completely break the game in my opinion and turn it into a PC mobile game, then Tarkov definitely has a problem right there. I feel like they're banking pretty heavily on Breakout fucking everything up, honestly, in my opinion. But like I said, regardless of that, I still don't think, even with Arena Breakout releasing perfectly with no intrusive microtransactions, I still don't think Tarkov is dead. And while I don't think this patch can save Tarkov, I think it's a very good start for Nikita and the team. But regardless of what happens with Arena Breakout, how well it does on release, whether it dies from microtransactions, whether all the Tarkov players leave or they continue to play it along with Tarkov, I do think the one thing that will completely kill Tarkov is if Nikita goes from what he is doing right now with speaking to the community, taking ideas, suggestions, getting feedback, legitimately interacting. If he goes from doing that to getting a little bit more comfortable again, if something ends up happening with Breakout, if he gets too comfortable again and stops talking to the community, stops taking suggestions, starts thinking that they just know completely better and it's their game and fuck you, if he does that again, I do think that will be the end of Tarkov. But as far as this patch saving the game, like I said, no, but it's a good start. I want to know how you guys feel about this patch in the comments down below. Do you think it's going to save Tarkov? Do you think it's going to pull all the streamers back in? I didn't really look at the numbers yesterday after the patch came out. I was very busy with Mother's Day and my wife going to see my mom and her stepmom. It was very busy, so I didn't have time to sit down and look, but let me know what you think. Do you think this patch is going to do it? Do you think if Nikita continues talking to the community, do you think that's going to redeem him and Tarkov and get them back in the good graces? Let me know. I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say. That's going to do it for me though, dudes. Thank you all so much for watching. My name's Duke and I've been your host. Peace out.